What's up, guys? Welcome back to another week of NASCAR Around the Track with the Riders, featuring myself, SterlingRider, and my dad, Duke Rider.
Hey everybody, what's up?
This week we are covering Bristol, the last great Coliseum, and let me tell you, both races were great.
Yeah, it's one of the best weekends of racing that I have seen in a very long time. Um, Between the Truck Series was a clean race. The Cup Series, it had a few things that we'll talk about as we go through that I wasn't happy about, but for the most part, the racing, the situation with the tires in the Cup race was it's what we've been looking for, what we've been asking for a very, very, very long time. Dale Jr. mentioned on Twitter that these were reminiscent of the races at Bristol from the 70s, 80s, and 90s, with the tire wear and the passing and all that went on in the Cup race today. So I was impressed.
Yeah, the Cup race for sure was impressive to watch. Just seeing all the strategies because of the way the tire wear was for everyone. It was so bad that NASCAR, we'll talk about this later on. NASCAR gave Goodyear the green light for every team to get a one more set of tires, which really made it interesting. So
And there probably would have been more sets offered, but keeping up with everybody on Twitter, I can't remember who it was, but it was one of the NASCAR reporters on Twitter said that Goodyear only had enough tires to give them one more set. So if Goodyear would have had another trailer there, they probably would have gotten more, which would have completely ruined, in my opinion, ruined the whole race.
yeah, I agree 100% that I think the one set, just throwing the one set in, made it perfect. Where strategy was really put into play. So yeah,
So yeah, well the weekend we started off with Cup qualifying. I was impressed with the qualifying of the top 10. Of course, Blaney won the pole. Josh Berry, after the season he's had, finally got a little brightness in his life. Qualifying second. What really struck me though was SHR had Berry and Briscoe in the top 10. Penske had Blaney and Logano. Um, there were two Toyotas with Hamlin and Wallace in the top 10. Michael McDowell with another impressive going and qualifying in the top 10. What really stuck out to me with qualifying was that Hendrick Motorsports had the 5 car, the 9 car, the 24 car in the top 10, and Alex Bowman starting 29th. Now,
yeah,
as when we talk about the race, Alex was able to rebound, and then William had some problems on track, and Chase had some tire issues, but he still rebounded, and then um, Larson ended up with the top 5. But we'll talk a little bit more about Larson later too. He had some comments during and after the race that don't sit well with me as a NASCAR fan.
mm,
Um, but qualifying, man, I was impressed with Michael McDowell. Uh, the big shocker to me, besides HMS having the top 3, having 3 in the top 10, and then Bowman starting 29th, was also Buescher and Chastain. Chastain started at the very back of the field, and Buescher was only 1 or 2 cars ahead of him. So that was a shocker to see when I looked at the rundown, because I didn't realize that they had qualified so low. So, um, but qualifying for a change because of the race and the situation in the race with the tires, qualifying wasn't the end all be all of this race, which is the way it should be.
yeah, I agree. It was definitely shocking. Chris Buescher winning the race last fall, and then Chastain's just one of those top drivers you do not expect to start in the rear much, dead last that much. So it was a
Hmm.
huge shock. But as you said, McDowell fast with qualifying. Seeing that he's running up there, still starting up the front, that shows Front Row Motorsports is starting to live up to their name, as I would say. So, um, but yeah, qualifying was interesting. It definitely made the whole race interesting just because of placements of everyone. We had some, Josh Berry on the front row for the first time in the Cup Series, and then we had, Busher and Chastain that would have, had to race up through the field. So definitely was interesting for qualifying.
Well, hey, what did you think of Chastain's paint scheme? This is a paint scheme I really wish they would have done for Harvick last year.
I didn't really pay much attention. I'm gonna have to go look at it to be honest with you. I
Well, it with the Bristol race being the Bristol race, it was kind of hard to get a good look at the paint scheme, but it was a fishing, the bush light fishing scheme, and it was pretty doggone cool. I really liked it. Um, so
man, that's actually a very nice scheme. I kind of like
that's
that.
that's a that's a cool scheme, isn't it?
I would
Uh,
say that is a fresh catch, as they was just it described it on Twitter. So
yep. Um, that and then Noah Gregson carrying uh, the Bass Pro Shop colors and really paint scheme that he carried to so many wins in the Xfinity series. It was good to see that. The Bass Pro Shops is sticking not just with Stuart Haas, but they're sticking with Gregson too. So hope to see that more this year as the year goes.
I would agree that was very very exciting news when they came out with that. Of course, you asked me, do I want the diecast? Well, duh, it's Bass Pro and Noah Gregson put together. Because as you said, he's taken that number 9 with Junior Motorsports. Bass Pro's the main sponsor the whole time he was with that team. Took him to victory lane many times. So it's nice to see them with him in Cup, even after some of the struggles he's been through. So super excited. Hopefully, there's more to come with them as well.
Yeah, and I'd like to see them perform better than they did today. But today's race was just kind of a circumstantial race, and he had some issues. But what did you think of the truck race? I thought it was a good race. I thought it was one of the better truck races. Clean truck race.
For a short track, Bristol on top of that, this was probably one of the cleanest truck races I have ever watched. Um, we still had some good cautions, but a lot cleaner than I was expecting for it to be Bristol, with the trucks. Very good race, I must say. I really have nothing bad to say about it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I thought it was a great race. Uh, Christian Eckes started on the pole. Nick Sanchez next to him on the front row. But once again, of course, now it was just a single truck spin. But we don't make it to lap 10 before we got a caution.
That is true.
So we keep our trend alive of not getting to lap 10 in any race this year, in any series without a caution. So um, I don't know if that's a good trend to keep going, but I do know it got broke in the Cup race today, so that was
Hey. Well, with
a good thing. But
the next few weeks, I don't see that being broken either. So, so
yep. Well, then the next caution came out when the 22, the 17, and the 75 had a little dust up and wadded it up. But again, we only get two cautions here in the first stage, which for a truck race is relatively calm. So Kyle Busch wins first stage. No cautions in the second stage except for the stage break caution. Kyle Busch sweeps the stages. Um, then I'm not really sure. I know there was contact with the '98 truck with Majeski, and he caused that multi truck incident with him, and then his teammate Ben Rhodes got involved in that. I know there was some contact. I know he got spun out, but um, there wasn't a ton of damage to the truck, so they were able to continue. Um, you know, I know Majeski didn't finish all that great. Um, yeah, I guess he wasn't able to continue, but oh no, he did. He ended up going out because of an engine failure, probably brought on by the contact from that wreck. But then we get restarted, and then the craziness of the night happens. Nick Sanchez tries to go on the outside of Stuart Friesen in the 52, and Stuart Friesen comes up and squeezes him into the wall, which of course turns Stuart nose first into the wall. Um, and Friesen, after the race, and of course Fox didn't cover this because there's no post race coverage, which is bad. Fortunately, there's all kinds of reporters that are on Twitter that cover post race stuff, so we were able to get several different angles. But Stuart Friesen wasn't happy and was blaming Nick Sanchez for it. But personally, I don't see where Nick did anything wrong. He was trying to make a pass, and had Stewart given him room, he probably would have passed him and passed him clean.
Yeah, I agree. Bristol's a small track, Sanchez was just going for the pass. I don't know if there was miscommunication between Stewart and his spotter, and I don't know, but it wasn't Nick. It was not Sanchez's fault that Friesen put himself in his own nose in the wall. That was just not most likely was just communicate miscommunication, but it was not Sanchez's fault. That was just Sanchez was just trying to race for position, and Friesen messed up and put himself in the wall. But I feel like in the past, Friesen's one of those guys where it wasn't my fault, no matter what you say. So, um,
Yeah, and I've never really been a big fan of Stuart Friesen. He had some things that he said about Tony Stewart back in 2016 that I did not believe was warranted. Um, and as soon as I found out about those comments, I had pretty much lost all respect for Stuart Friesen. And this situation and situations like this that he's had in the past has not helped him regain that respect. And I'm not really sure that a lot of his competitors respect him on track because of incidences like this. Because, like you said, he never takes the blame, even when it's obvious that it's his fault. I mean, when him and Sanchez, it was a heated conversation, and then he's a lot bigger in stature than Nick, and he went after him. I mean, like physically tried to. Luckily, there was crew members there that were able to pull him apart, but it was an uncalled for move on the racetrack, and it was even more uncalled for on pit road after the race.
yeah, I agree. Thankfully, there were crew members that pulled him apart immediately as Stewart went for him. But Sanchez it's Bristol. Rubbing is racing, especially at a track like this. You're gonna rub up against each other. Someone's going to be in the wall. Doesn't matter if you're trying to not, trying to avoid it or not. It's gonna happen to somebody. I feel bad for Sanchez, just because this kid he came into the truck super hot, won Daytona, was doing very well here at Bristol. Um, I just I feel bad for him because he's got to put up with someone like Stuart Friesen after an incident that wasn't even his fault. So
Well, so man, what about that race at the end between Christian Eckes and Kyle Busch? If there'd have been one more lap, Kyle would have either been beside him or would have beat him. I
I
think.
agree. I was saying as they were going around 3 and 4 on the final lap, man, another lap or two, Bush would be right there. But it was super exciting to watch coming down. Christian Eckes taking the lead there for the final green stretch in the final stage. Took off for a little bit, and then there toward the end, Kyle Busch was coming back, but man, that kid held him off and did really, really well. Um, I was super happy to watch this, as because as I've said before, I love when the Cup drivers go compete in the lower levels, but I don't want them to win. But I want them to make these younger drivers fight them for it, and that's what I saw, and it was one of the best things I've seen in a while. As Eckes passed a veteran and former champion Kyle Busch and went on to win the race. It was great. I loved it.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Christian Eckes. I'm a big fan of the 19 team because they're a Napa team. We love Napa in our house.
Yes, we do.
Uh, Bill McAnally Racing, it has been in the sport for a very long time. They spent a lot of years in what used to be the K&N West Series. They still have a presence in the ARCA West Series, which is what the K&N used to be. But they've moved up to the Truck Series. They've got 3 teams right now. Christian Eckes wins the race, and Tyler Ankrum, who moved over to that team this year, uh, is leading in the points for the first he's done it 2 weeks in a row now. For the first 2 weeks of his career that he's been this high in points. I believe in an interview after the race with Bob Pockrass, I think he said the highest he'd ever been in points in his career was like 7th. So he's leading the points with this new team, and they're showing that they've got what it takes. All 3 teams, because you even had Zane Smith in their third truck, in the 91 truck this week, and he finished third.
Yep.
So, of course, when people like Zane and Kyle Busch go down to the Truck Series, we expect them to be in the top 5 because they're going to take whatever team they're with and make them better.
Right. Yep.
So, um, but that was Christian Eckes. This was kind of redemption because Corey Heim passed him with 6 laps to go in the fall Bristol race, which kept him from making it into the final 4. So Christian was able to get back uh, somewhat of redemption. At least this gets him into the playoffs and gives him another shot to maybe go back in the fall and win Bristol in the fall. And in the fall, he won't have to deal with Kyle Busch because it's in the playoffs.
Yeah. That is true.
So, but we talked about the action on pit road between Sanchez um, and Friesen. I mentioned that FS1 did not have very much post-race coverage at all. Um, they never really have. There's never really been a whole lot of post-race coverage for the trucks. But I would like to see 10, 15 minutes at least interview the bulk of your top 10. Interview your points leader, even if he finishes, last. Uh, you know, if we're gonna make stars out of these people, if we're gonna make stars out of these drivers, if people are gonna know who they are, they're gonna know they're gonna know about them, they're gonna have name recognition, whatever. They need to be on TV. They need to be talking to the media, and in order for that to happen, TV has to give them time and put the microphone in front of their face. And the best way to do that is pre-race coverage, where you get to know who the person is, and then post-race coverage, where you get to see how they feel, how they react right after they get out of the race car or truck in this case. Uh, I remember way back when the Truck Series first started in 1995. Most of the drivers, they had a lot of Cup drivers go down and race, but most of the drivers were drivers that were brought in out of the Southwest Tour Series, the K&N Series. I don't even remember what it was called back then. It might have even been the All Pro Series. Other smaller series. Some of them came from the modifieds, and they got put in these trucks in this new series, and we'd never heard of them before. But by the end of 1995, we knew who those drivers were because they were on TV. We're we're having interviews with them before and after the races. Uh, I really wish they would put a little more TV time on the truck series.
Yeah, I would agree. It just seems like there was two interviews and then done. It kind of sucks because um, we missed what happened between Sanchez and Friesen. Only saw that through social media. We didn't hear very many of the you know top 10 drivers at all, just because they didn't have the coverage. This is where whoever's covering them, which is Fox in this case, hey, we're gonna give you this amount of time, try to get as many interviews as you can, with drivers, um, because it's giving them the time they need with media. It gives them experience, as you said, and it just gives the fans a view of these upcoming drivers of here's how our truck ran, or here's how I was able to handle the truck, or here's what went wrong, here's why we were able to get to where we were and not any better or any worse. It helps with the fans point big time. So
And if it hadn't been for Bob Pockrass on social media, I would have never seen the interview with Tyler Ankrum uh, to hear about how he felt about the team and their performance so far this year. So, but our top 10, we had Christian Eckes one, Kyle Busch second, Zane Smith third, Matt Crafton fourth, Tyler Ankrum fifth, Corey Heim sixth, Taylor Gray, who was on his roof a few weeks ago, finishing seventh. Rajah Caruth, he's still running strong with another top 10 in eighth. Grant Enfinger in ninth, and then Lane Riggs, who took over the 38 for Zane Smith with a top 10. So good to see him up there. Good to see that team doing good. Bailey Curry, I'm just gonna mention him because he lost it. He literally blew his lid off a couple weeks ago. Finished 11th, so that's a good rebound for that team. They needed a good run, and I think an 11th place run for the season that they've had so far this year is pretty good season. But let's see it. Let's look down uh, and see if we see any surprises. Ty Dillon. Um, I am unpleasantly surprised at Ty Dillon and his run right now so far with the Rackley racing team. They're not performing to the level that they were performing with Matt DiBenedetto behind the wheel of that truck the past couple of years. So I would like to see them uh, kind of step that up. Um, Other than that, there's really nothing. Chase Purdy, he's somebody else that really needs to step it up. Driving in that 77 for Spire Motorsports. His teammates have won races. They're finishing in the top 10. Um, he needs to start getting up in the top 10 a little bit more.
I would agree. Ty Dillon is a um, well-known driver. We've seen him throughout all three series. Didn't do much in Cup, but that's just because he wanted to go off on his own, find his own way, which is respectable. Um, but I feel like he can do better with this truck. As you said, we saw it with Matt DiBenedetto do pretty well. It may just be he's trying to get back into the feel for the truck. I don't know, but hopefully they'll kick it up a notch and find some momentum with these next few races and races way back up to top 15, top 10, small steps, but moving up's moving up.
Yep. So relatively short race, an hour and 40 minutes. Um, again, with it being such a clean race, it went quick. Um, and it was fun to watch. I enjoyed it. I think I have in the notes. I said this is the best, cleanest truck race in a long time. I don't remember a truck race being this clean. Um, but the best part about it is Chevy has kept their win streak in the truck series alive. But this is the first non-Spire truck to get a win. So, congratulations to Christian Eckes. I'm glad to see it. Um, he'll probably get in there and get him another one or two this year. Just because that's the kind of driver he is. Probably make. Yeah, I'm almost going to call him to make the final four. Be in contention for the championship. So there's some contenders that's moved on. With Zane Smith has moved on. Um, and a couple others have moved on. So Carson Horsevar's moved on. So we'll see. It'll be good to see how that works out. So, but there was only 4 lead changes in the truck race compared to what we got today in a cup race. So let's talk about the cup race. What'd you think?
Man, I loved it. It was a great race. So many questions came through my head during that whole race, mainly based off of tire wear. They showed those tires, man. They were gone when they were taken off the car. Um, and it was funny because the Goodyear CEO came out and was like, "I have no idea why these tires are doing this, but we're trying to figure it out." Which just makes you question, why was the tires, tire wear such aggressive with the track. It was just the whole race was interesting because of it. So wonderful race.
I'd just say this: Goodyear, don't change a thing. By the time we come back here in the fall, it'll be warmer, and the teams will have made the adjustments that they need to make the tire last longer. And hopefully we don't get the cautions every 30 to 40, 45 laps that give them everybody a chance to pit. Let's get some more green flag pit stops going on like what we had in the third stage. But Goodyear, don't change a thing. Let the teams change. Now, could you imagine this tire wear with 950 horsepower?
Good grief, we'd fly through tires. There would I just that one extra set would not have been enough to finish the race. Um, those tires would have been gone. And to be honest with you, I wish we had that horsepower because, again, that just makes strategy extremely important because you only have a certain number, sets of tires to get you through the race. So it would have made it so much more interesting because we would have seen a lot more um, relaxed and aggressiveness throughout the whole race with different drivers. I can only dream, but I hope they do bring it back to that horsepower.
This is exactly what we as the fans have been asking for. This is what the drivers have been asking for. Put the the race back into the hands of the drivers. There was a lot of talk today about this reminds me of my late model days. Josh Berry and Rodney Childers talked about, okay, we're going to have to run this like we run our late model races. Um, uh, John Hunter Nemechek said after the race, said this reminds me of racing the super late models in Pensacola where you gotta save your tires. This is what racing is all about. It's not supposed to be easy. It's supposed to be out there where the drivers have to go out there and they make a decision. I'm going to run hard. I'm going to burn up my tires. I'm going to lose all my track position because I'm going to have to pit or I'm going to blow a tire. Or I'm going to go out there. I'm going to take it easy. I'm going to save my tires. And then when it comes time to go, I've got rubber where I can go. And while everybody else have already burned up their stuff, I could just go right to the front. And we saw that today several times with several different teams. You know, some of them started outside the top 10, would restart outside the top 10, and the next thing you know, they'd be up in the top 2 or 3. Ty Gibbs got that penalty, pit road penalty, and he started, I think it was like 27th, and the next thing you know, they're talking about Ty Gibbs is running third.
Yep.
Joey Logano, he starts out, he's on the second row or first row on one of the restarts, and the next thing you know, he's back in the back because he's already burned up his stuff. This is what we've been asking for a long time, and we got it today. This whole season, every race that we've had this season, to me, has been an excellent race. Now, there's a lot of people that still write off Las Vegas as that was a bad race, but it was a strategy race. It's what we're looking for. Phoenix wasn't a great race, but it was a Phoenix race, and it was one of the better Phoenix races that we've seen. So there was passing at Phoenix, but you talk about passing, man. There was passing today. NASCAR usually puts out a stat somewhere about midweek as what they call quality passes. I think it's going to be higher than a Talladega or Daytona race when it comes to quality passes. And that's what we've been asking for short tracks for a long time. Unfortunately, it wasn't the car that gave us a great race. It was the tire wear. It was the track. This would have been a terrible race if it had been on dirt.
Yep.
It would have been the same thing that we've seen for the past couple years on the dirt. And I texted you during the race. I said, this is the track getting back at NASCAR for burying them in dirt for a couple of years.
Yeah.
They don't do it in the fall, so the fall race, Bristol's not too mad at them at the fall. But Bristol said, okay, you're not going to put the dirt on us. We're going to bite you.
Yeah.
But it made for great racing.
It did. The whole race was awesome to watch. Um, I the dirt race kind of sucked. It was cool at first, but it sucked because it's Bristol isn't a dirt track. Go to, as we've said before, go to a dirt track if you want to race on dirt. Eldora, Knoxville, somewhere we know they can run pretty well. We've seen trucks at Eldora. We know Eldora will work. Knoxville's big enough. We know it'll work. So go there. Don't put dirt somewhere like here at Bristol, because then you're ruining dirt racing and you're ruining Bristol itself, um, which may have been why tire wear was so big in today's race, because Bristol was like, this is what you get for putting dirt on me, you bums. So
Yep.
um,
And we haven't raced in the cooler temperatures on Bristol in a couple of years because they've been having the dirt race. So they didn't really know what to expect. Plus, Goodyear brought a really soft tire. So it was just the perfect storm, so to speak, with the race that we got today. So, and I've never been this excited to watch a race where my driver on lap 24, he hits the wall and he's 7 laps down for like the rest of the race, like William Byron was. We made it, dude. We made it past lap 20. We haven't made it to lap 25 yet, but we made it past lap 20 without a caution. We made it past lap 10 without a caution.
yeah.
So we're getting there. But Christopher Bell got into Joey Logano, who got into the back of the 24 car. 24 car slid up, hit the wall, broke the toe link, was laps down the rest of the race. very disappointing for me. Um, because there's just at Bristol, when you get that far behind, you're just not gonna make that. You're not gonna make it up. So
Yeah.
he was pretty much hoping for attrition, which we didn't see. There was 35 of the 36 starters that were running at the end of the race, which is very unusual. So um, anyway, we had another caution on lap 33 where a whole bunch of cars were involved. Some with some good amount of damage and some not so much. The 45 uh, took a spin off of Josh Berry, leading the race. We're Talladega and Daytona racing at Bristol, where the leader gets spun out.
Yep.
A bunch of cars got caught up in that. Um, and this is when we're really starting to see the tire wear come in, because this is when they have they're starting to see the cording and stuff like that with the cautions coming up. Uh, come up when lap 71, we have a caution for debris. Then towards the end of the stage, with like I think it was 2 laps to go, Kyle Busch, his right rear tire finally went out on him. He spun it out, drove to pit road backwards
Backwards.
uh, in Ricky Bobby style.
That seems to just be his own little like, this is how you know who I am. Every time he has spun out, he drives backwards for a little bit, which is technically against NASCAR, rule. Um, but they haven't said anything. I don't know if it's just because it's Kyle Busch or because Kyle's the only one that does it. But every time Kyle Busch spins out and he's backwards, he's driving backwards for a good moment. Kind
Yeah, I
of
think this is the fifth time he's done that. So
uh,
it's just
so,
to put on a show.
which is fine. He knows the yellow's out. Why not? During the green flag, I wouldn't. I highly suggest you don't do it. Something wrong might happen. But kind of interesting. I just thought I'd point that out. Kyle Busch being Kyle Busch, going backwards. So
So that ended stage one, and Ty Gibbs gets his first career Cup stage victory. So um, at this point, we're seeing the Toyotas are fast. There's one point in stage two where Joe Gibbs Racing is 1 through 4, and they're controlling the restarts, they're controlling the pace of the race. Um, all of them, all four of the Joe Gibbs Racing drivers have a lot of short track experience or dirt track experience with Christopher Bell. They know how to manage tires. They know how to pace a race. So it was probably a good thing that they were up there pacing the race and racing with. Really weren't racing with each other. They were just kind of keeping the pace going with the tire wear. Um, so, um, but anyway, we get going in stage two. We get the caution for the 47, the 71, and the 31, which basically put Zane Smith out of the race. Man, you talk about somebody that's had a bad start to their rookie year. We thought Josh Berry was having it rough, but Josh Berry's had a couple of at least flashes of light. Zane Smith, man, he just can't get off the ground.
no, I feel bad for him because I mean he's all the rookies have proven themselves in either trucks or Xfinity. So um, it's just tough, but it is Bristol, so it makes sense. But just for Zane Smith, this beginning of the whole season, he's had tough luck. Um, Hopefully he'll be able to bounce back eventually, down the road. But Yeah, like I said, it's just it's tough when this happens.
I'm thinking back at the beginning of the year when we looked at the rookie battle on our previous show, we talked about Zane Smith, Carson Hocevar, and Josh Berry. I think we all had the mindset that Josh Berry was going to run away with this rookie of the year thing. He's with the stronger team. Hocevar and Zane Smith are with Spire Motorsports. Spire hasn't really shown a whole lot. Two rookies on one team. What was that going? I think it's good. It's closer because of the struggles that they've all had. I think than maybe we expected. I mean, Carson Hocevar is even leading in the rookie standings right now. So, uh, Zane Smith and Josh Berry. Of course, Josh had a good run today, despite having some issues, some tire issues. But Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar, um, Carson's doing okay, but Barry and Zane Smith are struggling. Carson, there's been a couple times this year where he's been the flag bearer for the team, even outrunning Corey LaJoie a couple times. So, uh, anyway, back to then we get Kyle Busch spinning out again.
We
Uh, you talk about being out to lunch. When it comes to Phoenix last week, he was terrible. When you go to Bristol, you do not expect Kyle Busch is the winningest driver, active driver at Bristol.
hmm
He's won a lot of races there. He's swept the Cup, Xfinity, and truck races there before. Um, when you go to Bristol, you don't expect Kyle to have these problems, but he did today. So it's time they're going to have to find something and turn their program around because they're struggling right now.
they are, which knowing Kyle Busch, he's probably not happy at all. Um, just because he knows Bristol's his track. I mean, he owns that track because like he's a king because of how well he does there. But today he could not find a groove to go battle for it. Just kept spinning. Of course, tire wear I believe was a big deal for that. Um, that was a big deal for everyone, but just not something you expect from Kyle Busch at Bristol. So I
No, and
don't
I
know.
would expect them. I would expect them when they get back in the fall that they run quite a bit better than he ran today. So it's very uncharacteristic for him to spin out once, much less twice in the same race.
Yep, I would agree 100%.
So Ty Gibbs, he's 2 for 2 at Bristol with stage wins. Um, and we get going. Then Josh Berry on lap 311, he spins out. He has a tire issue and he spins out. Was able to recover, finish 11th.
12.
No, finished 12th. So he did recover. Uh, he needed a good run. Somebody else that needed a good run was Josh Berry. Um, man, I can't remember if it was this caution or the caution before where the 2 car um, tired the 6 car on pit road. I can't remember which pit stop it was, but man, Brad took a pretty tough hit from the 2 car there on pit road, but it didn't really affect Brad's car as much as I would have thought that it would have.
No, it did not. That was interesting to see. Kind of also ironic how the former car he drove hit his new car. Kind of interesting. But there was almost no damage from that, which was kind of shocking because these cars, we've seen these cars get torn up just from small bumps like that. So very interesting to see how that um, happened and there was like no damage. Thank for Kozlowski, thankfully, it didn't really affect him at all. Of course, tire, like, as we've said multiple times, tire wear may have been a big effect of that, as he was able to keep the car speed, um, due, conserving his tires as he did. But definitely a bit of a surprise.
Yep. So then we get to the 2 and the 47, having an issue bringing out what turned out to be the last caution of the day, and then we got what I was wanting. We got a long green flag run over 100 laps. We got to see green flag pit stops, which was what we needed.
Hmm.
Uh, the only problem was at the end of the race, there's only 5 cars on the lead lap because of the tire wear. I would like to see it be a little bit more competitive than that. Uh, but we got that long green flag run that kind of showed us basically if you were going to run up front in this race that long run, you were going to have to conserve your tires. You were going to have to pit at the right time. You were going to have to get off pit road at the right time, which is what cost Martin Truex in his interview. He said that's what cost him the race was he had to burn his stuff up getting back to the 11 after the pit road because he came out so far behind him. He did catch him, he did pass him, but he had already burned up his stuff. So Denny was able to get right back around him and win 2 in a row at Bristol
Yep.
for the 11 team. So um, let's see. Tire wear was a big deal. We spent a lot of time talking about tire wear, and we mentioned that NASCAR had given the teams an extra set that were left over from the fall 2023 race, which is something that was also part of the tire discussion. This is the same compound of tire that they used in the fall, um, but the only thing different in this race and the fall race was the air temperature. It was a lot cooler today, and they put down the rosin instead of the PJ1, which being a different compound um, may have affected tire wear. Uh, but whatever it is, I hope they don't change it. Hope that they come back in the fall with the same compound. They put the rosin back on the track, and we get an even better race because by then the teams are going to have figured out what they need to do to run this tire. And I think instead of seeing tires last 35, 40, 45 laps, they'll get it to where they can make it last 90 to 100, if not more.
Which hopefully, if they do keep it that way, we'll see some more green flag runs, longer green flag runs, maybe even some more green flag pit stops, with the pit cycling. Um, Hopefully they do. I sadly doubt they will keep the tire the same, but I really hope they do. Maybe they'll listen to us for once. Haha, knock on wood, something, whatever. But
Well, a lot of the drivers have called for the tire not to change. I mean, uh, let the teams figure it out.
yeah,
Yep. 54 lead changes, a Bristol record, and a NASCAR short track record. That's a lot of lead changes, man. That's Talladega, Daytona, um, Atlanta lead change numbers. We cannot say there wasn't passing today.
no, we cannot. You definitely
Uh,
can't, just because, I mean, only 5 cars were on the lead lap at the end of the race. There was a lot of passing, a lot of lap traffic included, but even throughout the lap traffic, you still had people, racing for position. So a lot of passing, which really good for Bristol, I would say. Um, it made the race really, really interesting to watch. No matter where you were in the field, there was somebody passing somebody for position.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, this was, and I said it before. This put the driver put it back in the driver's hands, which is what makes great racing. When the drivers have control over what's going on, it just makes for a better race. Even though there was only 5 cars on the lead lap, I found it was an interesting stat that 35 of the 36 cars were still running at the end, with Zane Smith being the only DNF. Um, for Bristol, that's another one of those things that doesn't happen very much. There's usually either a lot of engine failures or wrecks. Because Bristol's one of those tracks too that if a wreck happens, it's usually not just a one car situation. I mean that they can take out 5, 10 cars in a crash. So we didn't have a whole lot of that today. So that was good to see.
I agree.
There was some post race coverage, but as I mentioned with the truck race, I still don't think there's enough. I don't think we're giving enough TV time to these Cup guys. So for our top 10, we had Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex, Brad Keselowski. Good rebound for Keselowski after the pit road incident that we talked about. Alex Bowman, we mentioned him talking about qualifying. He started 29th. He finishes 4th. He's the highest finishing Hendrick car after starting in the back. Kyle Larson, John Hunter Nemechek, Chris Buescher with another good run at Bristol. Chase Elliott, Ty Gibbs finishes 9th after winning the stage 1 and stage 2. Christopher Bell at 11th. Michael McDowell with another impressive run and in 11th. Sorry, Christopher Bell was 10th. Josh Berry rebounds to finish 4th or finish 12th. I'm sorry. Uh, Chase Briscoe, Ryan Preece round out 14th, and Ross Chastain is able to finish top 15. Ryan Blaney kind of fell back on the tire with the tire situation. Um, so other than that, no real surprises except for Noah Gragson had a bad break there, and then William Byron's uh, issue that he was kind of a victim of circumstance there, getting hit with three wide pass, but pretty pretty solid top 15.
Yep. And I want to throw in there Justin Haley. He finished 17th, but man, you saw him today in the top 10. I think the furthest he made it was ninth, but that just goes to show you that kid can wheel the car. I know it's a short track; it's a little bit easier, to make positioning a little easier. But he rode upside the top 10. Um, First time we've seen a Rick Ware car up there for a regular season race. So that just goes to show you he can pull it off. I feel like the reason he fell back was because of tire wear. Um, so I'm excited to see what he can do with that 51 car. Um, but also we had all four Joe Gibb cars finish top 10. Three of the four Hendrick Motorsport cars top 10. Byron sadly not there because of the broken toe link early on. So and both RFK in top 10. Brad third, Busher in seventh. So and then John Hunter Nemechek, just kind of the random driver in there. To be
Yep.
honest with you. Um, but Joe Gibbs Racing showed really really strong run today at Bristol. Just throwing that in there. For short track, all four cars, one, two, three, four, there for a moment, all finished top 10. You can only say that this team's going out for sure, going big this season. Of course, they always
Yep.
do. Top team, of course, multiple championships. Always there in the end. We had Christopher Bell, back to back Final Four. Um, Past 2 years, Truex proven winner, Hamlin proven winner. Not a champion yet, but as we've heard him say, he's going for the wins, not exactly the championship. Um, and then Ty Gibbs showing off with the 54 team this season. So
So Jordan Bianchi posted on Twitter. He said tire wear similar to this at Martinsville, Richmond, Phoenix, Loudon, and North Wilkesboro would do wonders to fix what ails the short track package. And I got to agree with that 100%. That would, if we're able to get tire wear like this at these other tracks, I think we would see a much uh, better race at those tracks. So um, I see a lot of the guys in the media really enjoyed this race because of the tire wear. Um, because it wasn't expected. It was an unexpected pleasant surprise that we got a really good race because we didn't know what to expect. But I wanted to talk about Kyle Larson for a minute. Um, at one point, PRN, the radio broadcast for this, said that Kyle Larson feels that NASCAR should throw a red flag, park the cars, and put PJ1 on the track. Wendy Venturini, who's one of their reporters, reports that Cliff Daniels said that it wouldn't take that long. It would help with the extreme tire wear that we've seen in the first 180 laps. Uh, I don't know. I don't know what to think about that. That just sounds like an extreme idea for somebody who's done dirt racing, for somebody that understands tire conservation. Um, I really don't understand why he would want to red flag a race just to change the track. I mean, that would be like going to uh, Indianapolis, getting halfway through the race, realizing you don't like running the oval, so you want to red flag the race to set up the road course. Uh, that's as crazy as it sounds to me. I just don't get it. I don't understand his comments. And he ended up with the top five finish. What's he complaining about?
yeah, it really doesn't make sense. But to be honest with you, I'm gonna just throw in there is probably because it's Kyle Larson and he wants to win, and he knew if NASCAR had done that, he probably would have won. And thinking in his own head here, um, probably just to me, it sounds like it's I'm not used to this. This isn't fair. I want it my way kind of thing. But sorry, Kyle. Not a big fan of you. Don't like your idea there. I think the race was perfect because, I mean, we saw strategy come into play big time with this tire wear. So I think the fans' view is better than what your view there was, to be honest with you. So not that I would be unhappy if I was in a race car racing around Bristol, but hey, that's me. So uh,
I mean, I loved it. I thought it was an excellent race. I was impressed with the driver's adaptability because, like I said, they weren't expecting it. So as soon as it happened, they're like, "Okay, we've got to figure this out," and they went out there and did that. And as much as I am not a Denny fan, I mean, I don't hate Denny, but he's not one of my top drivers. he was the best at conserving his tires today, and Truex had to burn them up. He even said it himself. He had to burn it up. Kyle Busch, or not Kyle Busch, Brad Keselowski was able to finish third because he saved his equipment. And then Alex Bowman, starting 29th, was able to adapt and get up there and finish. So just kind of, like you said, it kind of makes him sound whiny,
Yeah.
so to speak. So, all right, what about our fantasy picks? You don't want to talk about this, do
No, I don't. Can we skip
you?
this week?
No, we
Um,
cannot.
Sadly, I do not have Trey's lineup, so I don't know who he had. I forgot to ask for him. I forgot I was recording early. It's been a crazy day for me, mostly because of the race. But I'll at least go over mine. So I feel like I still had a solid lineup. My biggest boo boo here was Ryan Blaney and Bubba Wallace. But I had Chase Elliott, Josh Berry, Chase Briscoe, Bubba Wallace, Ryan Blaney, and then I had Michael McDowell in the garage. Um, just to kind of give you guys, you viewers, a perspective how I do this, I kind of base it off of the top 15 from qualifying. I'll sometimes go off of practice as well, seeing who is fast. Probably not the smartest move, but I was also thinking this was a typical Bristol race and tire wear wouldn't be what it was. If I had thought that, I probably would have thought a little bit more into it. But kind of bit me in the butt today. Um, the featured matchups, I had Chase Elliott over Chris Buescher. That bit me in the butt by one spot. As Buescher finished seventh, Elliott finished eighth. Um, Michael McDowell versus Ryan Preece. I got that one as I picked McDowell, who finished 11th, Preece finishing 14th. Brad Keselowski versus Christopher Bell. I picked Keselowski as he finished third. Bell finished 10th. And then Hocevar versus Barry. I picked Barry mostly because he was on the front row, but he finished 12th over Hocevar, finishing 27th. So not really a good week for me, but I would say I still did decent. Um,
Well, I was
maybe.
able to take the lead in our group. Let's see, I got the lead by 15 points now. So you got some work to do. My lineup, I had Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott, Christopher Bell, Chris Buescher, Brad Keselowski, and then in the garage I had Ryan Preece. And the way I set my lineup is I do look at qualifying, I do look at practice, but I also look at what drivers have been good there. Who was good there in the past? Um, who was good there? Um, who normally performs good? Uh, which I think I've already used Kyle Busch a couple times this year, so I didn't want to use him for this Bristol race. And it's probably a good thing that I didn't because that really I would have been like, really, really angry before stage one was over.
That's what saved you right there. You didn't have Kyle Busch in your lineup.
Exactly. So with the head-to-head matchups, I did pick Busher over Chase. I picked Priest over McDowell just because Ryan Priest is a short track racer. Michael McDowell, he's a super speedway racer. He's a road course racer. He's never been that great on the short tracks, but um, that was my pick there. But Michael did finish better than Ryan. I had Brad over Christopher Bell just because, man, I was pulling for Brad. I thought this was going to be Brad's race to win, to kind of, because of how well I mean, he finished second to Chris Buescher there last year
hmm
when Buescher won. So, and then Josh Berry and Carson Hocevar, I had Hocevar picked over Berry, but just because of what Berry's been doing this year. I wasn't expecting his luck to turn around at Bristol of all places. But he did have that comeback and was able to finish 12th. So But yeah, I have moved up to first in our rankings, but I'm still in the 32,988 in the
Yep.
in overall. Uh, uh, about 300 points behind now, about 250 behind now. Uh, no, about 350 about 325 behind now. So I guess I won't be winning no $10,000 this year.
Well. But to wrap up the fantasy on our little powwow here between the three of us, I came in last at 145. Trey came in second at 148. He called me during the race. I had to pause the race. Wasn't a big deal though because with commercials I caught up anyway. He was like, "Man, I'm at the point where I'm mad because my fantasy lineup's doing horrible." I was like, "Man, that's just part of it." Uh, and then you came in first at 217, which was quite a gap between us. So overall, you've taken the lead at 875. I'm in second, 860. Trey is 761. He is 99 points behind me. Um, Me and you are really going to have to do very, very badly for him, and him to do really, really good for him to catch up, I would say. But who knows? There's still a whole season to go,
There's,
pretty much. We're
there's
only a few
yeah,
races
there's a
in,
long way to go.
so but
So how about our personal picks? Uh,
well, we came out even again.
yep, yep.
um,
You beat me with Kyle Busch in the truck race, and I had Tyler Ankrum. And then in the Cup race, boy, you blew it.
I did blow it. I was really hoping Hocevar was going to do pretty well with it being a short track. Kind of bit me in the butt, but you picking Busher, I shouldn't really be that surprised. I should have expected that. To be fair, but that's okay. So it's 6-4. I'm still up by two. If we keep going, kind of even here. Of course, now we get next week. At Coda, we got all three series, so someone's going to come out um, pretty well next week. But we're still close. It's still anyone's game here. So
Yep.
guess with that, we should go to Coda picks here, huh?
Yep.
Which is gonna kind of throw us off because we don't have the lineups yet because we're recording early. Oh, but that's okay. I will let you choose first this week. Go on
Okay.
ahead.
Let's see for the trucks. Man, I am going to go. I don't know. Again, we don't know who the Cup racers are. If anybody of the Cup race is going to the trucks this week, but I'm going to pick. I'm going to go with Grant Enfinger.
In finger.
He has. He's been in the truck series for a while. And I could see him getting a road course win here at Coda this week. So that's gonna be my pick.
Okay, well, I say Chevy's going to keep this going, and I think we're gonna have a second time winner here. I'm gonna pick Nick Sanchez. He did well last season at Coda, so I think he might be able to do something here this year.
It's a pretty doggone good pick.
So, how about Xfinity? Again, we don't know if anyone's any cups running in it, so
Well, I'm gonna go, and this is gonna totally turn his season around. I'm gonna go with Sam Mayer. I think he's going to do well at Coda. He's a really good road course racer, and he's got to have something good, something positive has to happen sooner than later. And I think Coda is where Sam Mayer turns his season around.
I would say that's a good pick. But well, I'm gonna go with his teammate, um, who's also pretty well at road courses. I'm going with Justin Allgaier. We've seen him run well at road courses. He runs well almost anywhere, actually, to be honest with you. But I think he'll be able to do well this year again, following up last season with a top five. I think he's going to go out there and do well.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, I'd like to see that happen. So, all right. So for Cup, big shocker here. Somebody that performs really, really well at Coda. I haven't used him yet. I'm going to use him early in the season. I am going to call on Kyle Larson to get me a win at Coda.
Actually, I'm kind of shocked. I was not thinking you'd pick Kyle Larson. That's okay. That
Well,
gets him out of the way.
I'm just looking at his Coda, at his record at Coda, and his record at road courses since he got in that 5 car. He's really, really good at road course racing, and he's really gotten good as he moved into that 5 car. So
I I would say that's a good pick though. As I'm looking here, he finished 14th last year. But as you said, knowing Larson and his background at Coda, he most likely will do well. But man, we're going for teammates here, aren't we? I'm going with my guy. Probably early
I
call
do.
here. I'm going with Chase Elliott. We know he is currently the road course winner among most wins among active drivers right now. He's very well at any road course. He has a win under his belt at Coda, even though it was because of rain, but don't worry about that. But I think this is going to be his week. He really bounces back from his struggles of last season, and kind of beginning this season. I think he's really going to get his confidence back, and he's going to go out there and win the race. I would say so.
So in other words, you're saying he's going to get in the groove.
Yeah, I would say that.
Awesome, awesome. All right, well, there's our picks.
Oh,
Great weekend of racing, man. I'm looking forward to every single race that we've had this year so far has just made me look more, made me want to just get to the next Sunday real quick because I want to see what they're going to do next. So this season so far, we're 5 races in. Has just every week just makes me makes me more excited for the next race coming up. And Coda is going to set the stage for what the road courses are going to look like this year. So, man, I'm amped. I'm pumped. I'm ready to go. Let's go to Coda tomorrow.
um, I mean, I'd be okay with that. I'd be able to record. So, I would love it to be that quick. Sadly, it's not. I guess they were smart when they strategized making every Sunday the race instead of every other day, as which would be totally awesome. But I don't think there's enough racetracks in the world to do that one. Well, I don't know, maybe. Uh, but yeah,
It
that's
would
all.
get it would guarantee every track at least 2 dates,
That would be.
except Phoenix. We don't want Phoenix to have 2 dates. Phoenix
Eh,
sucks.
Phoenix. If they want Phoenix that bad, put the start finish line back where it was. Then we can go
Yeah,
back to Phoenix. Um, I'd be fine with that. But other than that, only 2 races. Really, both really good. Tire wear was huge for the Cup race. Made it amazing to watch. I normally am like playing games and watching the race. I don't know. I multitask like that. Don't ask me how, because I don't know. I just do. But I literally had to pause my game. I was playing NASCAR Heat 5. I'm just driving in circles anyway. I had to pause the game, put my controller down because I had to watch the last like 30, not actually 60 laps because of this is when the green flag pit stops were rolling through. It man, it just got interesting, and I could not. I starting to hit the wall on the game, so I was like, because of how much I was paying attention to the actual race, so I had to pause the race, my game, and watch the race. So that just tells you it was interesting. So I'm excited for Coda. I love road courses. I'm not good at them on the game, but that's besides the point. They're fun to watch. But yeah, short episode. I don't know what to tell you. This is a short episode. Just I know not having Xfinity this week made it pretty short, but as well didn't have to cover Xfinity. But
And I think NASCAR missed out on that, having the opportunity to have another triple header this weekend. With the show that we saw with the trucks, and then the show that we saw today with the Cup Series. Throw the Xfinity Series in there, man, that would have just been the perfect weekend of racing.
I would agree. Yeah, Xfinity is very competitive, so it would have been very interesting to see those drivers go at it at Bristol with what was what happened between Truck and Cup. It definitely would have made the whole weekend amazing of really great racing. So maybe next season, probably not,
Yeah.
but we can wish for it. But that's all I've got. You got anything else?
No, that's it. I'm ready. I'm pumped for Coda, man. I'm ready to go.
Actually, my apologies. I lied. I got one more thing. Let me go to my photos here. Something I saw on Instagram from some uh, big time NASCAR followers. A thought that came across my feed on Instagram was could Roger Caruth possibly be Alex Bowman's replacement in the future? I thought we should touch on this as I saw this. I think it's a very big possibility. If, of course, today we saw Alex Bowman perform, finishing in the top five, but we've also seen Caruth perform well. He finished in the top 10, finishing eighth. He's already won this season in the trucks. He has Hendrick cars on his, as his sponsor for the whole season. So I think it's very highly possible that Bowman's contract comes to an end in 2026. I believe we discussed in our preview. Caruth could be ready for a cup ride at that time. I could see him taking that spot.
Man, that is, you throw that out there. That's something that I wouldn't have thought of yet. Maybe coming towards the end of the season, that's something that I could see. I could have seen a discussion coming up, depending on how Raja performs the rest of this year. But now that you do bring it up, we talked about Alex on our preseason show that he was going to have to perform. He's been one of those drivers that wins. Of course, he didn't last year because of the back injury, but he wins one to two races a year. Um, which when you look up when you look at the whole field of Cup drivers, 1 to 2 races a season is not bad. I mean, that makes you a winning driver. Um, but of the four drivers at Hendrick Motorsports, he's the least one that we would look at as a championship favorite. Kyle Larson's won a championship. Chase Elliott's won a championship. William Byron last year was on the cusp of winning a championship. If a couple more breaks there at Phoenix would have went his way. Um, you know, so but Alex has never really been that performer in the car. So if Raja goes out there and produces and wins and um, is a playoff contender this year and maybe even next year, I could see it happening maybe even at the beginning of 26. Contracts in sports are not set in stone. I mean, there's usually clauses in there, performance clauses, or um, whatever clauses are in contracts that mean, if Alex has in his contract that you go out and you win a race or two a year, and then he doesn't perform, he's and Raja goes out and performs. So basically, if Alex wants to keep his job, he's going to have to win some races. Um, and and he's going to have to do it sooner than later. He can't wait until next year. He can't go winless for 2 years and then show up in 2025 and win a race or two, because that seat is there. Now, Ally is going to have a lot to say about that. They've been with Alex Bowman since Jimmy Johnson stepped out of the 48 car, and they did all their number rearranging and moved Alex from the 88. They changed the number to the 48. Ally went over with them, so Ally is going to have a lot to say about that. But again, I think Alex has to perform for Ally to stay happy.
Yeah, I would agree. Especially, I mean, we've already seen Caruth perform really, really well with the 71 truck with Spire. Um, Daytona, Atlanta, top in the top five. Won Las Vegas, top 10 again here at Bristol. He's starting off the season really, really strong. For a guy who has already shown his potential, already shows that he's going to be a contender. So, as we go down the line, who knows what's going to happen? If Bowman stays winless, I 100% see Caruth moving up into that spot
Well,
throughout
let
the
me let
years.
me ask you this: do you think that Zane Smith and Carson Hocevar's performance over the next couple years in Cup will have a lot to do with whether they move Raja into the 48 car, or maybe if Zane and Carson don't show the success, maybe they move him into an Xfinity car over at Junior Motorsports, or maybe they run the 17 car, the Hendrick HMS 17 car full time for him next year in the Xfinity series. Because if Zane and Carson don't go out and perform with the way they performed in the Truck Series, maybe that hinders Raja moving straight from Truck into Cup. Maybe they run him. Maybe they have to run him in Xfinity for a season or two. Do you think that might be something that affects him going into the 48 car? How well they perform?
I would say so. Yes. It's rare when a driver goes from truck to cup. Most of the time, they go through Xfinity as well. Um, Obviously, Caruth would have to pick up an Xfinity ride, or as you said, HMS run the 17 for a full season for him, or a spot opens up with one of the Chevy teams for him to step into. Um, but that is definitely something to factor into. You've got multiple drivers racing for a better spot, whether it be in the same like you said, Hocevar and Smith, a better spot in the Cup, or just Caruth looking for a better spot to just to move up in the series across the series. Um, so another good point to throw into it as well.
So it's going to be interesting to see. I know we talked about several drivers being on the hot seat. I'm still not sure Daniel Suarez has saved his seat, even though he won at Atlanta. I don't know. Uh, I don't know if he's still on the. I think his seat's gotten a little cooler, but I still think he might be on the hot seat with Zane Smith and uh, Shane Van Ginsbergen coming up through the ranks. So it's gonna be interesting to see with Bowman and with Suarez, which we talked about heavily on our pre-race show about them being in the hot seat. Same thing with Austin Cindric. Austin's got to perform as well, and he had a couple good races at the beginning of the season, but now Austin has kind of fallen off too. But the thing with that is Penske doesn't have anybody in the pipeline. Where does Penske go and get Cole Custer? Do they move Harrison Burton into the 2 car and maybe swap rides with Harrison and Austin? I mean, there's a lot of things out there that and that could even open the door for a Rajah Caruth to move into the Cup Series with the Penske car, uh, being open if he goes out and performs. Who saw? We knew Zane Smith was probably going to move up, but who saw him going over to Chevy and not staying with Front Row Motorsports at Ford? Who did we really know if Carson Hocevar was going to get the call up? We didn't know that till late in the season, so it's going to be interesting to see how all this plays out, especially now that we have people like Rajah that are coming in uh, and putting something behind their name. I mean, even Nick Sanchez getting that win at Daytona, he could be a candidate for a Cup ride in the next year or two, depending on what seats are open.
Right, it definitely makes you think about what could happen over the next couple seasons. That's kind of part of the excitement because you don't know who's going where at the end of the season for some of these drivers. So got us playing a guessing game, and well, we could either be right on the dot or as far from it as we can be.
Yep.
But sorry, I completely forgot about it. I saw it earlier this week, and I was like, "Ooh, that'd be a good little topic to talk about." But
Yeah.
so something we'll keep tabs on, of course, as we try our best to keep tabs on everything. Everyone you're about to shout out is the main reason we are able to keep our tabs on what goes on. So with that, I will let you do the non-sponsors shout outs, but they're totally awesome, so they get shout outs no matter what.
Yeah. So, and like you said, we're able to keep up with a lot of what we keep up with. Usually, I get to listen to some of these podcasts before we record, but because of your schedule this week, we're had to record early. But check out the Scene Vault podcast with Rick Houston and Steve Wade. Great history of the sport. They do a lot of interviews with drivers and team members and crew chiefs and stuff that are part of the history of the sport. So check them out. Door Bumper Clear with TJ Majors, Brett Griffin, and Freddie Kraft. Dale Jr. Download with Dale Jr. On Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Actions Detrimental with Denny Hamlin. Obviously, this week's going to be he's going to be pretty pumped carrying the Bristol win into the trophy into the studio. So give him a shout out. The teardown with Jeff Gluck and Jordan Bianchi already posted, but I didn't have time to listen to it. So check them out. Happy hour with Kevin Harvick on Tuesdays and then Thursdays as well. Stacking Pennies with Corey LaJoie. Here's some good follows on X or Twitter or whatever you call it. Bob Pockrass is great. Trey Ryan, if you want some stats, he puts out some really good stats every week about the upcoming race. Matt Weaver covers motorsports, man, from dirt to asphalt racing to NASCAR. From the World of Outlaws to the Cars Tour to Super Late Models to the Cup Series. Matt is on it, man. He's awesome to be able to follow, and he interacts with the fans too. So that's a great thing. And he's one of those that's not afraid to challenge NASCAR. He's not afraid to challenge the other whatever series he's covering. He's not afraid to challenge them, and he's not afraid to challenge the fans either. So Jayski, for some stats. Jayski on X, but you could also go to jayski.com. They've got a lot of historical facts. And then my personal favorite, Circle B Diecast. Get all your diecast needs. And we talked last week. We talked about how if something's wrong, if something's broken, they fix it right away. Um, but here's the thing about them: they rarely get it wrong. Um, they rarely send out something that is comes broken. Just because of the way they pack their stuff, they pack it. It's great the way they pack it. They're super quick on shipping. You pay for a car today. If they have it in stock, they're going to ship it to you today. You're going to get it in maximum of 3 days. A lot of that depends on your carrier. If they ship it UPS, man, it's usually a day or two. No more than 3 days before you get it. Um, they're super fast. I mean, I'm talking perfect company to be dealing in NASCAR because NASCAR is all about speed. So not only do they get it right, not only do they fix it if it's messed up, but when it comes to getting your orders to you, they're on it. They get new shipment in. For example, if they got a new shipment in tomorrow morning, they're shipping cars out of that shipment tomorrow afternoon. They're billing and they're getting them shipped out that day. So give them a follow and check them out. They're on all the social media platforms. Then of course circlebdiecast.com is their website. So check them out.
Yep. Everyone, all the podcasts, and everyone's Twitter handle, along with CircleBDiecast.com, all linked down below in the description. Golly, I'm tongue twisted everywhere. um, as he said, like I've said, like he said, all the people are what help us do what we're doing now, help us keep tabs on everything, especially since for some reason there's no post race interviews for truck and sometimes even Xfinity and sometimes Cups even cut short. So it really helps us get the info we need to record our podcast. Um, and then again, Circle B Diecast, awesome way to get your diecast. Really, really cool. So for our sponsored shout outs, you have Swift Grips, analog grips for all you sweaty gamers out there. Um, Call of Duty was starting to make me sweat a few days ago, to be honest. So um, you can use codes SterlingRider for 10% off with them. They cover PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo Switch. So whatever your gaming desire is, uh, console of choice. PC can't really help you out. It's only so much you can put on a keyboard and a mouse. To be honest with you. And then you also got my favorite energy drink. I'm sorry. I'm out of it today. My favorite energy drink, Dubby Energy, Jitterless Energy, filled with vitamins. I guess I didn't drink any today, but I guess what I drank yesterday is still in my system. So I'm tripping over words and twisting my tongue and all sorts of things. But that just goes to show you that it works. Uh, really, really good. They always are working hard to perfect their taste, the flavors. So they also have a hydration blend as well. So you can use code SterlingRider for 10% off with them as well. They're super good. Just you got to try them. I believe once you try them, you will be hooked. They're really good. No crash. Gives you energy, of course, gives you focus. Filled with really, really, really good amount of vitamins to help you as well. So make sure you check them out. And then my favorite clothing brand, Rankest Rope Ranch Wear, as you see on my head. Retro Western wear and rodeo wear put together. Super cool. Love them. They got hats, beanies, hoodies, t-shirts, and a few button-ups. You can use code SilverDuke15 for 15% off with them. And I will leave all three of them, along with everyone from the other shout outs, down a link below. Um, go check them out. Why not? So that's all I have for this week. Do you have anything else?
Man, let's go to Coda.
I agree. Let's go to
That's all I
Coda.
got.
Circuit of the Americas. Right? Americas or Americana?
Yeah,
Okay.
America. Yeah, and hey,
Okay.
it replaces the spring Texas race. And let's face it, we're thankful that it replaces the spring Texas race
Yeah.
because Coda is better than a Texas race.
I have not had a disappointing Coda race since it's taken over for Texas in spring. So yeah, let's go to Coda next week. Super excited. I love road courses. This season has been phenomenal. So well, besides Phoenix being Phoenix, but that's beside the point. But super excited to see what the first road course of the season will bring us. With further ado, we'll see you next week after Coda. So peace out. Right on. God bless.